a bit backtrack, right?
Yeah.
How did you get the funds, right, to start the business? If you don't mind me asking, I don't know whether private. Or not.
Which bank you go?
It's not private at all, like, honestly. But like, I think a lot of people might be wondering the same thing. So I think if you want to start a business, this is my opinion, lah, right? Everybody has different circumstances, right? So I think I'm lucky enough because, like, you know, my parents don't depend on me to do anything, right? So they don't need my money and they won't die without me, right? So started it, like, I had this conversation with my partner about merchants back then, and I was like, okay, let's do it. So at that point in time, I'm like,
nice.
I'm like, okay, let's do it, right? So there's 3 of us. So then we talked to the designer, talked to contractor, right? And then he was like, okay, so then we planned out a spreadsheet on like the budgeting and the cost of essentially opening this place, right? And then I said like, okay, let's go. I had no idea how was I going to actually look for the funds. So our budget was, in the beginning, was like $500,000, $500,000 for the cafe, which was, kind of a conservative number at that point in time because there was a lot of structural work that needs to be done.
So you have to headcount, you have to hire, you have to...
So you need like running expenses, you need all kinds of things, right? Like, and then you running capital, especially like in the first few months, right? So like between the 3 of us, we're looking at between 150K to like 200K, right?
Person,
for the 500,000. I agreed, and I had no idea how I was going to find the money.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's the truth, and I believe that how I actually found the starting capital. So I did save from the beginning when I was working part time. I probably saved about like 20,000-30,000, right, which was a substantial amount in my head, but it's obviously not enough, right? So the natural thing is I went to my dad. So I went to my dad. I was like, can I have like 150,000?
Not your everyday conversation.
Yeah. I went to my dad. It's like, I want to start a business. He was like, great. Can I have 150,000?
Wow.
Yeah. My dad said no.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's like, no, but he gave me like a lifeline. He was like, for every dollar you find from someone else, I'll give the same dollar. That's what he said.
Yeah. That's fucking good, bro.
Yeah,
Your father,
so
brand.
he's like, if you can convince somebody else that your idea works and they are going to be willing to give you money to fund your idea, I'm going to give dollar to dollar.
So if you find 75, you get
Correct.
75.
So I needed 75, right?
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, now like there's a way out.
Burden somehow reduced.
Yeah. So like there's a chance, right? So the next thing is like I went to my brother. I was like, yo, bro, like I need 150K, man.
Brother, you like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So my brother's like, no, I don't have 150K. Like I was like, I know, but like I need 150K.
So you bully your brother. Nick is such a chill.
Yeah.
I swear to God,
He was
you
like-
are the bully in the fucking relationship.
He actually like he checked and he tell me like, okay, you know what, I got like 20, right? Like I was like, okay, like I got like 40 now, bro. Like
So take 20?
Yeah. So like 20 plus my 20 is like 40, right? That's somewhere closer. So then my brother gave me the idea. It's like, oh, you go ask your aunt, right? So I have an aunt in Australia. So and they usually very supportive one. So I wrote an email to her. I was like, here's my idea. I'm like, here's what my dad says. So if you give me every dollar you give me, my dad's gonna give me the other dollar. So I convinced her in some way. I structured out a very like rough plan of like split equity. So she actually owned a part of my equity in a proxy form. So I did that lah. So that I said like, okay, look, here's the proposal, right? Like I'm gonna start this thing, and basically you own my share of this business lah. So kind of like that informally, just like between me and her, and then she was like, okay.
Huh?
Yeah.
How much she gave?
So she gave me the 50K. Right,
Wow.
And then on top my brother's like 20K, so she can give me 55 lah. So thereabouts, right? So then my dad had to come out to 75 lah.
He's probably like, fuck.
Yeah.
But of course, when you make deals like this, you obviously would say either, like you said, you own a share, or there's a way of paying back of sorts, right?
Correct. So I did put that in writing as well. So I was like, you own the share proportionally. So my dad's share will be mine now, right? So my dad's money is technically my share, and she technically owned nearly half lah, right? So I told her like, if I do eventually want to buy it back, it'll be at this price, which is double of whatever she put in. So I'll buy back so every dollar you give me, I will give you 2 lah. So I eventually obviously bought it back lah. So within the first like 2 years or so. Yeah, we're lucky lah, obviously. But at that point in time, we were like, in the beginning was kind of like really a struggle lah, to be fair, because we under budgeted. We end up spending maybe like closer to 800,000. We were owing suppliers. It was ridiculous. Like I didn't have salary for like a couple of months. Yeah, but anyways, like that was the whole process. So I kind of feel like if your idea is good enough, you can kind of always find the funding.
And the solution.
Yeah. There will always be a solution, because if not, it will seem always too far away. You know what I mean? Like everybody has goals and like things that they want to do, and then you always stop on your first excuse.
100%, man.
So like for me, it's like you'll never be ready. At that point in time, I wasn't ready at all. But I just said like, okay. I tell my partner like, okay, like I want like 30% of this business, right?
I was watching actually one of your YouTube videos where you were saying how like, I think one of the key elements in life itself, right, is to actually just own a business. Because when you do it, right, that's when you really like have to fucking put your neck on the line.
Yeah.
Then after that, you really have to do whatever it takes already.
Yeah,
then you become maximum resourceful already.
You are in it, and like there's no escape. So
it's damn hardcore, bro.
Like knowing that you cannot leave is the biggest burden of a of a business owner, essentially. Like you can't say, you know what, you can't one day wake up and like, you know what, fuck it, I'm leaving. There's no such thing.
A lot of things.
You can't do that. I mean, like your employees are going to be dependent on you.
Yeah, lor.
Right? And essentially the business and everything that runs along the business is on you. You can't leave. You get what I mean? And that is the biggest lesson you can learn. And I fundamentally feel like even at that point in time, the beginning was tough. I feel like it was definitely going to be worth it. Like for me, the flip side was like I owe somebody like 100,000 ringgit, right? And my logic to that was like, if I can finance a car, I can finance this 150,000, right?
True.
So I think people overthink a lot of things. Of course, circumstances are always a bit different here and there, but fundamentally, if you can afford to take a car loan, why are you not willing to take the same risk for a business that you can eventually also pay back in some way or some form, right?
Arguably, it earns you money also, because the car you don't earn money after that.
Yeah, so like I think the risk to reward is like, obviously the business also can bleed you more, right? Of course, there's that, but the car can't. But to a certain extent, the risk is minimal. Let's say you put in 100,000 and then you bleed extra 50, right? Then you owe somebody 150,000. Like any normal person with like a reasonable like drive would be able to pay back that money over the next 5 years, next 10 years, whatever the time frame is. Like, don't you think so, right? Like,
I think that one is a mentality thing, because I know a lot of people, they can't even pay off 2K.
It's possible, but like, if it's a big enough drive for you, I think the
you would have started it. Actually,
the outcome is, no matter how bad the outcome is, like I owe 150K. Is it that bad?
Were you prepared for like the worst case scenario of that? Like your auntie might hate you, and your dad also like you owe him money.
So like between the both of them, I'm damn certain. Look, whatever money you give me, I will at least give you back dollar to dollar. You give me time, right? So like, what's the worst? I go work corporate job. I start paying that back them like monthly, right?
I see.
Was it like, for me, it was very little risk for me to do that. Like, sure lah, the next 5 years, 10 years, I'll be financing this loan, right? But the lesson learned would be far more useful or beneficial to me. That's what I felt lah.
Because of the education rather than the monetary gain.
Yeah.
I see.
You learn so much from a business lah. It's probably something difficult to explain, but
it's a feeling lah. It's a feeling,
break
bro.
the comfort zone.
It's a feeling, bro.
How did you break your comfort zone? I guess it was when you say yes.
I think that
that one was scary, yes, bro.